Government ministers have pledged £350 million to help reach their target of building 1.5 million homes by 2029. But critics say there just aren't enough builders to construct them.
Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner says the government can't afford not to hit that target. The Minister for Local Growth and Building Safety, Alex Norris, joins us now. Very good morning to you. 1.5 million homes by 2029. How are you going to do that in 4 years?
Morning, Susanna. Thanks for having me. Yes, as part of our plan for change, we have that absolute commitment of 1.5 million homes by 2029. You know, the reality is it's about changing all aspects of the system. So, you know we've got a planning system that makes development too hard. That's why we've consulted on that and brought reforms forward. It's about making sure that different types and tenures, in this case, we're really excited to bring more than £300 million forwards for houses that will predominantly be there for social rent. It's about making sure people have got money in their pocket so they can afford to sustain their housing, which is why we're pleased to see wages growing at their fastest rate in 3 years. It's all of these things together will get us on that trajectory to where we need to be at the end of this Parliament.
Did Tony Blair and Gordon Brown meet their targets when they were Prime Ministers between 1997 and 2010?
I have to say, Ed, you may have been closer to that than I was. I know that, there is public scepticism around government's ability to deliver on housing.
The answer is they both failed. They both fell short of the targets. They said Tony Blair was 10,000 homes a year short. Gordon Brown increased the target, 58,000 homes a year short. Why will you be different this time round? Why is your absolute commitment something anybody can believe?
Well, because it's something that we've put at the absolute heart of our approach as a government in our plan for change. It's something that we're making changes.
Gordon Brown.
Well, again, this was, as I say, I can only speak to the actions of this government, and it's something where we're looking at all those blockers throughout the process in order to make sure it's an environment where houses can get built. So, as I say, it's something that we think is a national priority. I'm conscious when I talk to my constituents, there's 160,000 children last night in temporary accommodation, many in bed and breakfast, and I hear from parents about the impact and what that's like on trying to do the school run across the city, of trying to keep clothes clean. This is a really significant national imperative, and it requires the government of the day to put all aspects of the system to get that right and to do that, and that's why we've made it such a priority.
You are the MP for Nottingham North, and you have pledged to hold the NHS locally to account in the case of the killer of the Nottingham victims. Today, there is a significant meeting between those relatives and the Prime Minister. What does hold the NHS locally to account actually mean in practice?
Well, for me, I feel that as a local Member of Parliament, I have a slightly different role in the process. What happened last July was one of the worst days in our city's history, and you had Ian Coates there, who's a very popular local man from my town of Bulwell. And it is right, and I support strongly the Prime Minister's commitment that I've no doubt he'll reiterate with the families later for a national inquiry. And that's fine, I support that. But in reality, as the local Member of Parliament, I'm not likely to play a very strong role in that. What we've also seen in recent days is a report into Notts Healthcare, our mental health trust, and the failings that contributed to what happened. I feel my job is to work with those local health services as the voice of my community to make sure that those failings don't reoccur, to make sure that there's full candour about what did happen, and so that the families and the communities affected know that, and so that we can make sure that something like this doesn't happen again. Because, as I say, it was a dreadful thing, dreadful for those families and dreadful for our city.
Can I ask you, have you had a candid conversation in private with the Chief Constable of Nottinghamshire Police about what went wrong and how they've changed things? Yes,
I have. And I spoke again as recently to the Chief Constable as the back end of last week. Now, there is, as you know, Ed, there is an IOPC process underway, and you'd never want politicians to run ahead of that. But, I would ask the questions, out with of that investigation that you'd expect around, one of the issues clearly that was identified was what happens when an individual who has a live arrest warrant isn't being picked up. Is that routinely happening? And have had commitments made about the progress being made by Nottinghamshire Police in that regard. So yes,
we've been asking the Chief Constable of Nottinghamshire Police to come on our programme and reassure people that they have got a grip on this. You know, without prejudging the IOPC investigation, she has consistently refused to speak at all to us, or I think pretty much anywhere in public. Isn't that just like a complete abdication of leadership?
Well, I can't speak to the public or press engagements that other people do. What I know is that my constituents and the people of Nottingham needs full candour and full clarity as to what happened and what will happen going forwards. And that's, you know, the pledge that I made to my constituents and what I intend to do as the local Member of Parliament.
I think people might be wondering why it all takes so long. And we've already spoken this morning, completely separate case, but the daughter of David Amess, the MP who was murdered, as I say, different circumstances. But she feels like she's battling against a system in order to get reports done. We've spoken to Emma Webber, Barnaby Webber's mum. You know, in the depths of her grief, she is battling to be heard, for inquiries to be done, for reports to be published in full. Why is this taking? Why do these issues take so long to resolve? And why is it so often on the families to drive them forward?
It's hard, Susanna, not to see that a striking characteristic, whether it's the infected blood scandal, whether it's regarding the postmasters and the issues that you raised, that too often it relies on heroic individuals in order for the truth to come forward. Our responsibility as the government of the day is to obviously be candid about what we know. We are, of course, introducing the Hillsborough law to strengthen the duty of candour so that that process will be made easier. I'd also point to that, you know, this was a feature of the inquiry into the Grenfell Tower fire, and, you know, a recommendation around making sure that there is full oversight and that Parliament is very clear about what's going on and some of the recommendations, so these reports don't, you know, happen and then, you know, nothing changes as a result. You know, you'll know that the Prime Minister made a commitment to report back on our response to that inquiry within 6 months, and that 6 months is coming to its end. So again, we will be bringing forward our proposals in that space as well. Okay. So, you know, I appreciate that point being made.
Just ask you very quickly on one other thing. You'll have seen 11 councillors now suspended from the Labour Party. Andrew Gwynn has lost his job as a health minister for comments, terrible comments, on a WhatsApp group. I presume that you are a member of a number of WhatsApp groups with MPs or councillors. How confident are you that there haven't been comments like that on WhatsApp groups that you are a member of?
I'm very confident that that's the case. But the thing that matters the most is, because the Prime Minister's made this abundantly clear to all of us, that if I have failed that test and if anyone else fails that test, then we're going to be held accountable and we won't be ministers in his government, and that will be very swift. That's what we've seen happen in this case, and I've absolutely no doubt would happen in the future as well.
So you've been back through your WhatsApp groups in the last 10 years and you are confident nobody's posted posts like that?
Well, I can't say that I see every post that happens on my WhatsApp.
If you're in a WhatsApp group and the post is there, then you're responsible, aren't you? I mean, these councillors have been removed as Labour councillors for being in the WhatsApp group. Don't you think you should go and check?
Well, there's an investigation going into what's happened there, and those individuals be held to account for what they did. From my perspective, Ed, you're inviting me to perhaps tell some of my friends that maybe I've muted some of the groups that they've put me in the past. As I say, these are matters that are taken very seriously by the Prime Minister. If any of us don't meet the standards that you expect, then we will face the consequences for that, and of that I have no doubt. My advice to you is take it seriously, go and check, because at the moment, if you are in a group and there's a message there, then it's your responsibility. But Alex Norris, we will leave you to go and check your WhatsApp groups, and thank you for coming on our programme this morning.
Thanks for your time. Thank you.